Hi everyone, and welcome to this future value annuity lesson. Now, what is a future value annuity? It is when we deposit equal regular payments into an investment account. So we want those equal regular payments to grow to a bigger future value. So instead of just depositing a big lump sum in the beginning and let it grow with interest, we are actually going to make regular deposits so that those deposits grow over time. Now let me quickly show you with an example. Now this is going to be a future value annuity where we are going to deposit 300 Rand into an investment account at the end of each year, okay? So our regular payment or regular deposit is going to be once every year at the end of that year. And the interest rate is going to be 10%, and we are going to write that as 0.1. So it's 0.1 or 10% per annum compounded yearly. Now what we are going to do is, at the end of the first year we're going to pay 300 Rand, then at the end of the second year, the end of the third, the end of the fourth, and at the end of the fifth. So let's see how a future value annuity works. So once we get to the end of the first year, we are going to make a deposit of 300 Rand. That 300 Rand is going to grow with that 10%, that 0.1, for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So we can write that as 300 and in brackets 1 plus 0.1 to the power of 4. And that gives us an amount of 439 Rand and 23 cents. So this 300 is going to give us a future value of 439 Rand and 23 cents. At the end of the second year, we make another 300 Rand deposit. That 300 Rand is also going to grow with the 10% for the next 1, 2, 3 years. So that's going to be 300 and in brackets 1 plus 0.1 to the power of 3. And that gives us a future value of 399 Rand and 30 cents. At the end of the third year, we make another 300 Rand deposit. And that 300 Rand is going to grow with 1, 2 years. So that's going to be 300 and in brackets 1 plus 0.1 to the power of 2. And that accrues to a future value of 363 Rand. Then at the end of the fourth year, we're going to make another 300 Rand deposit. And that 300 will only grow with 1 year. So that will be 300, 1 plus 0.1 to the power of 1. And that gives us 330 Rand. And then we get to the end of the fifth year. That is our final year. We're going to still make a final 300 Rand deposit. And then once we take all these values and we add them together, we get that future value. So in other words, this 439 Rand and 23 cents is what this 300 Rand became over the life of this future value annuity. And this 300 Rand became 399 Rand and 30 cents, and this one became 363 Rand, and this one became 330 Rand, and then our final payment. So that's how a future value annuity works. But we don't want to spend all our time to work out the future value of each payment. So there's a quicker way. This is the future value annuity formula, where we can work out this future value of 1,831 Rand and 53 cents with the following formula. Since we know X in this case will be our deposits, and then the I will be the interest rate as a decimal, then the CP is our compound periods, that is the amount of deposits we had to make, and minus 1 in brackets, and then we divide it with, again, the interest rate as a decimal divided by the compound periods. Now let's look at this example. Our X in this case will be the 300 Rand that we are going to deposit at the end of each year. So X is 300. That's our equal payments or equal deposits. Then we have 1 plus. Our interest rate was 10%. So we're going to take the 0.1 and that goes into the place of I. It was compounded yearly because we made a payment at the end of each year. So the compound periods is 1 because it's once every year. And then to figure out how many deposits we actually had to make, well, we're going to take the years, which is 5, times the compound periods, which is 1. There we go. And that gives us 5. So N is 5 minus 1. Now this does not have a minus in front of it, so pay attention to that, unlike the present value annuities, because this is actually growing towards the future. So once we put in all these values again, we do this on our calculator and we end up with the value of 1,831 Rand and 53 cents, the same as we had earlier with the long method. Now, what we also can do is we can rewrite this future value annuity if we know what our future value will be. If we have a certain amount in our minds and we want to get there and we know the interest rate, we can actually figure out how much we are supposed to deposit at the end of every year so that we can get to that amount. So we can work out that deposit amount. So the regular deposits, right? So we're going to rewrite it into this formula, and there we go. So you can memorize this one as well, where F is our future value. So we're going to take this 1,831 Rand and 53 cents and put it in the place of F. You already know what's I at 0,1. The compound periods is 1. And then we have 1 plus, again, 0,1 over 1. To the power of 5, because n is we're going to make 5 regular payments over the next 5 years. We do it the same as here, and minus 1. And once we type this into our calculator, we end up with that regular deposit of 300 Rand. And that is how a future value annuity works. Now let's go and look at an example. Now in this example, we are going to pay 600 Rand every month into an investment account for 3 years. Now since this is an investment, we want our money to grow to the future, so this will be a future value annuity, not a present value annuity, because a present value annuity, we are paying something off. So the interest rate is 11% per annum compounded monthly. The payments are made at the end of each month. What is the value of the investment after 3 years? Now, since we know it's in a future value annuity and we want to know the value of the investment in the future, we're going to calculate F. So here is our future value formula, and in the place of X, we're going to put this 600 Rand. There we go. Then we have 1 and 1 plus, and in the place of I, we're going to put the interest rate as a decimal. So this is 11%. 11% is a decimal. We divide it with 100 and we get 0,11. There we go. Our compound periods, now it's compounded monthly and there are 12 months in a year. So basically our compound periods will be 12, and there we go. Then to figure out how many deposits we have to make, we're going to take the years times the compound periods. Now our years are 3 years, and because it's compounded monthly, we time it with 12, and we know that we are going to make 36 deposits. So n is 36. There's our minus 1. Again, I is 0,11 divided by 12. If we type this into our calculator, you will see that our future value will be 25,453 Rand and 87 cents. And there we go. So that is how it works. Please memorize those formulas and know what a future value annuity is so that you don't get confused between a future value annuity and a present value annuity. See you next time. Bye.